And I, because my mother's cousin owned a condo in Roslyn that she would rent to me for the cost of utilities if I remembered to water her plants. We'd never experienced anything like kindred spirit recognition or some deep bonding trauma. We were just always in the same place, doing the same things, so it was convenient to be friendly. But although we started out in the same place, Professor Natalia Gaines's introduction to short fiction, our careers spiraled in wildly different directions after graduation. I wrote my first novel in a fit of inspiration during a year spent bored out of my skull working for Teach for America. I'd come home after work every day to meticulously draft the story I'd wanted to tell since my childhood, a richly detailed and subtly magical coming-of-age story about grief, loss, and sisterhood, titled Over the Sycamore. After I'd queried nearly 50 literary agents without luck, the book was picked up by a small press named Evermore during an open call for submissions. The advance seemed like an absurd amount of money to me at the time, $10,000 up front, with royalties to come once I'd earned out. But that was before I learned Athena had gotten 6 figures for her debut novel at Penguin Random House. Evermore folded 3 months before my book went to print. My rights reverted back to me. Miraculously, my literary agent, who had signed me after Evermore's initial offer, resold the rights to one of the big 5 publishing houses for a $20,000 advance. A nice deal, read the publisher's marketplace announcement. It seemed like I had finally made it, that all my dreams of fame and success were about to come true, until my launch day drew closer and my first print run was reduced from 10,000 to 5,000 copies. My 6-city book tour was reduced to 3 stops in the DMV area, and the promised quotes from famous writers failed to materialize. I never got a second printing. I sold 2, maybe 3,000 copies total. My editor was fired during one of those publishing squeezes that happen every time the economy dips, and I got passed along to some guy named Garrett, who has so far shown so little interest in supporting the novel that I often wonder whether he's forgotten about me entirely. But that's par for the course, everyone told me. Everyone has a shitty debut experience. Publishers are just like that. It's always chaos in New York. All the editors and publicists are overworked and underpaid, and balls get dropped all the time. The grass is never greener on the other side. Every author hates their imprint. There are no Cinderella stories, just hard work, tenacity, and repeat attempts at the golden ticket. So why, then, do some people rocket to stardom on their first try? 6 months before Athena's debut novel came out, she got a big, sexy photo spread in a widely read publishing magazine under the title, "Publishing's Newest Prodigy is here to tell the AAPI stories we need." She sold foreign rights in 30 different territories. Her debut launched amidst a fanfare of critical acclaim in venues like The New Yorker and The New York Times, and it occupied top spots on every bestseller list for weeks. The awards circuit the following year was a foregone conclusion. Athena's debut, Voice and Echo, about a Chinese-American girl who can summon the ghosts of all the deceased women in her family, was one of those rare novels that perfectly straddled the line between speculative and commercial fiction, so she accrued nominations for the Booker, Nebula, Hugo, and World Fantasy Awards, 2 of which she won. And that was only 3 years ago. She's published 2 more books since, and the critical consensus is that she's only gotten better and better. It's not that Athena isn't talented. She's a fucking good writer. I've read all her work, and I'm not too jealous to acknowledge good writing when I see it. But Athena's star power is so obviously not about the writing. It's about her. Athena Liu is, simply put, so fucking cool. Even her name, Athena Ling N. Liu, is cool. Well done, Mr. and Mrs. Liu, to choose a perfect combination of the classical and exotic. Born in Hong Kong, raised between Sydney and New York, educated in British boarding schools that gave her a posh, unplaceable foreign accent, tall and razor-thin, graceful in the way all former ballet dancers are, porcelain pale, and possessed of these massive, long-lashed brown eyes that make her look like a Chinese Anne Hathaway. That's not racist for me to say. Athena once posted